All right, running your first Python program. So basically you need to understand what is programming. This is for those who are still not understood the meaning of programming. So maybe some of you guys already understood what is programming, what it's all about, and then maybe you watch the video, watch the movies, and then you discovered that, okay, programming is a set of instruction given to the computer. So meaning to say, so that's the definition of programming. So when you want to do programming, what you do is you prepare a set of instructions, okay? It's like a command, okay? It's like you are the boss and then you tell your computer to do something. So in order to tell your computer, so most of the time, the programmer, they will use the text document and then they write in they type in the code. So and the code should be in a certain rules. Okay, so it has to be written according to rules. So you cannot simply write based on your own wording. Okay, there must be a certain rules. So that's what you are going to learn. And then the instruction can be anything. So here I said that the instruction could be of various types. So maybe you need to change that in your lecture note. You say that the instructions can be anything. For example, if you are programming a robot, then maybe you have different sets of actions, okay? So, or maybe you want to create your own, I don't know, your own computational software to calculate the number of uraniums required to create a bomb. Okay, it is possible, yeah? So, yeah, so that's the idea. And then now I would like to introduce Python to those who are still don't know what is Python. So usually we pronounce it as Python, okay? You can call it as Python or whatsoever. So basically Python itself is a high-level programming language. The reason why we call it as a high level is because it is almost similar to our natural language. So for example, if you look at the code, maybe we can say, if this, then do something. So it sounds like English, but it is actually Python. So it's a high level. And then we have the low level language, okay? It is not something familiar to us. So basically the lowest level language is the binary numbers, okay? 0, 1, 0, 1. So if you go back to the 50 years or 60 years ago, they use like a punch card, okay? You have to specify the binary numbers using holes, okay? And then you punch the holes on the card and then you insert the cards in the machine. And then the machine will do some sort of, I don't know, it's like an operation like plus, minus. So basically for the calculators nowadays, you only have the nowadays you have the calculators in your phone. But previously, when we go back to 60 years ago, the calculator itself is quite big, it's huge. Yeah? So that's the idea. I hope you understood the meaning of high level and the low level language. Okay. So for example, I have C++, the Visual Basic, and then we have Python, we have the JavaScript, we have the Java. All of those languages are high level language. And then we have the assembly code. It is something unfamiliar to us because we don't really use the assembly code to write a program. Normally, if you want to write your own software, so for those who done the experiment under me for the Planck's constant, have you guys done that before? Any of you done the Planck's constant before? I mean the Planck's constant experiment. So basically, when we have to do the online class, then we were not able to conduct the experiment face to face. So I decided to create a software. It's like a simulator so that you can have the similar idea, but instead of modifying the knobs, you modify the buttons in your computer. So basically, in order to create that software, I have to use a programming language. I mean, a specific programming language for Microsoft. So it is known as the Visual Basic, BASIC. And then you can also have the C sharp, okay, C sharp. And then we can also have like Java. You can also use Java to create the software. So, but the thing is, we also have the scientific languages. For example, Python is an example of a scientific language. And then we have Mathematica. Any of you knows Mathematica before? No, you know Mathematica. You heard Mathematica. I'm not sure whether you guys tried that before. I've tried it before, but I don't really care too much about Mathematica. It is just a language that enables you to plot things and then maybe compute something. But to me, as a computational physicist, I prefer to write my own code because I trust myself. And if I write my own code, then I'm able to modify things rather than using other people's code. So that's the idea. And it is better if you write on your own, okay? For some reasons, you need to use other people's code. Maybe you need to reuse the codes that are being written by the other programmers to save your time. I mean, to save some time on doing the programming. Well, it is okay to do that, but still I prefer to write on my own. Indentation is important. It is a way of grouping your code, okay? Maybe you want to group 5 lines. So of course, when you write your own code, you have to write in a way that, I mean, maybe you require 100 lines of codes. But the thing is, at some point, you need to group your code. Maybe you have a repetitive execution. Maybe you want to write, for example, this is your code. Okay, your code is this big, and then maybe part of your code, maybe over here, you want to repeat it again and again and again. Then you have to group that particular region by a certain rules. So here, in order to group your codes, you have to do the indentation. So you can see here the indentation. You know, the indentation. Indentation means you use the tab character, TAB, tab character. Okay, you see the tab character here. So whenever whenever Python interpreter detects the indentation, so it will automatically know that this is the group of code. Okay, later I'll explain this. So this is just an overview. Okay, meaning to say, I would like to emphasize that indentation is important in Python. Sometimes when you miss your indentation, then it leads to a serious error. And then you stumble upon the code and look whether you are doing right, and then the risk of doing that kind of error, it leads to a severe problem, even though it is a simple miss of indentation. Just like the C++, I don't know whether you guys tried C++ before. If you miss the semicolon symbol or semicolon character, then it leads to a fatal error. So yeah, we cannot avoid that, yeah? So next, I'm going to introduce you to the IDE. So I need you to familiarize with the word IDE. It's actually not a word, it's an acronym. It's IDE, Integrated Development Environment. So as far as you know, I have mentioned to you about the Visual Studio Code, the Visual Studio. You can also have the Spider. You can also have your Google Colab. Google Colab is not really an IDE, but it works the same. So those are the softwares that enable you to create another software or create another program. IDE is a program that helps you to create a new program. So it helps you to manage your code. Without the IDE, it is possible for you to create a program without an IDE. Without using the the Microsoft Visual Studio Code, you can also create your own program without those IDEs. But the thing is, it will take much time. It will take much time, and then you will encounter a lot of hassles. You have to create your own framework and things like that. You have to prepare the files. But the thing is, IDE helps you to solve your problems. it will automatically organize your codes into a file. Maybe you want to separate your codes into a different file. Then the IDE will help you to link those files together. Because you're not going to, let's say if you have a big project, you want to write a program for maybe for Microsoft, you want to create a new PowerPoint software. So do you think it's going to take like this big? I mean, your code must be a bit lengthy, you know? It should be a lengthy code in order to produce a good software. So what you do, you separate the codes. You separate the codes into chunks, okay? And then you put all of these chunks into their respective files. And then later the IDE, that software will integrate everything. And then the IDE itself consists of the compiler. The compiler is a software. It is an executable where it reads your code and then it will interpret your code and then it will convert into the assembly code, which is understandable by your machine. So basically your machine doesn't know anything about Python, okay? But we have an intermediate software, not really a software, it's a program which is known as the compiler. It helps to read your code line by line, and then what it does is it converts everything into a language that is understandable by your machine. It is happening behind the scene, okay? And IDE also helps you to debug your program, okay? Because maybe when you, along the way, maybe you missed something in your code, maybe you missed some symbols, maybe you missed some words, okay? Or maybe the flow of your program are not really, full of bug, I don't know how to say bug. Maybe the guys know the meaning of bugs because we usually play with the games. Normally when we play games, let's say Call of Duty or PUBG, for example, at some point we encounter some glitches. Sometimes when I walk through the car and then eventually I'm stuck somewhere in the middle of the car and then I cannot move. That is a glitch. So it is a programming error caused by the programmer. So IDE helps you to identify all of these errors, okay? Are you guys okay? Okay, it's IDE. So now this is an example of IDE. Of course, this is a Microsoft Visual Studio Code. It is a lightweight IDE. So it has a counterpart which is the Microsoft Visual Studio. Well, it will cost a lot of space. It will cost a lot of memory if you use it. Then basically we use Microsoft Visual Studio to create serious programs. Okay, serious programs mean maybe you have your own company, you want to provide a solution to the other company. Maybe the other company wants you to create a software that helps to solve their stocks, maybe. And then you have to use the serious one, which is the Microsoft Visual Studio. But the thing is, here we have the lightweight version. Okay, the lightweight version means the file, the installer of Microsoft Visual Studio Code is not that big, it's not huge. So it's a simplified version. So I think it's good because you can see the coloring. It will highlight the keywords. For example, import is an example of the keywords that you'll be using after this. And then maybe you declare a variable here. In mathematics, maybe you declare theta as the angle. Am I right? So if you want to tell your computer, okay, hi computer, and now I want to declare theta as a variable. And then that theta should hold the value of 15. Then there must be a way. There is a way that you are able to tell the computer. So whenever you say theta equals to 15, then your computer will do the processing, okay? So normally, this is the normal case, yeah? This is not something that you have modified lah. Maybe those who are already experienced using Microsoft Visual Studio Code, maybe he or she will modify this. Maybe he will put the program output here to the right hand side. But this is the normal workspace, okay? So you see here, in the top panel, we have the code editor. So this is where you modify your code, okay? And then once you have modified your code, and then when you press the play button, something is going on behind the scene, and then it will interpret your code, and then the output of your code will be appearing here. And then maybe you are creating an application. By that time, your application window will appear. We have two types of applications. Yeah, we have, there are actually many types of applications, but normally we have two types. The first type is the console program. It is something that you do with the program, and then the output of your program will be given in a console window, you know, the command prompt window. If you are using Microsoft Windows, then you will have the command prompt. So this is the bottom panel here is the alternative of the command prompt, okay? So I don't know, because of Microsoft Visual Studio Code, they want to make things easy, which is understandable and readable, then they have this kind of feature. But normally when you run your Python code, then the console output will appear. The console is something that it is, I don't really say that it is a text editor. It is a console. No? Maybe some of you guys, maybe you can help me to explain what is a console. There's no other word. It's a console. Console means when it's a, I would say it is a text editor. Not really a text editor, but it is a console. I can't say much. It is a console. So when the thing is, in the console, you can type in the command, and then when you press the enter key, then the output will appear. For example, you want to copy and paste your files. Normally, you just right click and then you just use the, I don't know, what we call context menus. You know the context menu? This is the context menu. I cannot show you here. So when you press the right click button, then there's a menu appearing. That's what we call the context menu. So after this, you are going to become a programmer. Then you have to familiarize yourself with the context menu, and then the menu strips, and then the button. You know the button? When you want to create a program, then you have to create the buttons, all that stuff. But here in our class here, we are not going to create a software, a GUI. We are not creating a GUI. If you want to create a GUI, then you have to go for C# or Visual Studio, or sorry, Visual Basic. Then you can arrange your button over here. Okay, maybe I want to create a software that helps me to calculate the attraction between me and this girl. Then you do the calculation, and then you need to have two text boxes. Text box number 1, where you need to fill in your name, and text box number 2, you need to fill in your partner's name. And then when the users press the button here, then it will calculate the keserasian, for example. It's just an example, okay? Or maybe you want to create your own calculator, then you have to have 9 buttons to represent number 1, number 2, number 3, and until 9, and then you have 10 buttons, sorry. You need to include the zeros, and then you have to add an extra buttons as well for the plus sign, the minus, for the various operations lah. Okay, so moving on, this one is the Microsoft Visual Studio Code, and then next we have the Spider. So it sounds a bit weird, Spider. So I don't really use Spider that much. The reason why I use it before was, the reason why I use Spider before is because some of my students are asking me questions regarding spiders, and then maybe they ask me to do something with Spider. So that's the reason why I use Spider. But the idea is the same. So here on the left panel, you have the Code Explorer. So you can have a list of files containing your codes. As I said earlier, when you do the coding, you are not going to put all of the codes inside in a single file. It will, I mean, it is not a good practice because it will affect your readability. Let's say when you want to debug, when you are trying to find where are the errors, then it will be cumbersome because the code is lengthy, quite big. But what you do is you separate them into several files, and then from there, your IDE here will list those files, okay? So, and then you can simply access the files from the left panel here. And then we have the code editor as well. So you can do your coding there. And then for Spider, we have the variable explorer. You know, the variable explorer, whenever you declare a variable, for example, hey, Python, I'm saying Peter is equal to 15. Then the Python will do the processing, and then it will store theta in the computer memory. And then the panel here will display the variables that are available in your code. So this is, I think it's a good feature in Spider, where the Microsoft Visual Studio Code is not able to do that, unless if you do the debugging for some reason, you want to, you will use the debugger. So we have another term, which is the debugger. It is a software that helps you to detect at which part of your code is causing the errors. Then it will pinpoint, okay, it will show you maybe at line 21, at line 21, line 21 is causing the error. Then you know that, okay, that's the point where it is causing you the error. So that's a debugger. A debugger helps you to find the point, find the specific part of your code that leads to the error, okay? And then finally, we have the program outputs. So normally in Spider, if you use Spider, if you plot the graph, then the graph will automatically appearing here, the bottom right panel. But the thing is, maybe you can change this later. Once you are experienced with the IDE, then you begin to tweak things. Maybe you change this to here, change the editor to the right-hand side. So there's no specific way of doing this, yeah? Well, guys, I know it's hard and it's the thing is I'm also quite sleepy now. I know it's normal, but I apologize for the condition here. I can't do much. It's not my job to prepare the lecture hall. So it's okay. I hope you can be patient, yeah, because I can see some of you are doing this. Okay, but it's okay. Maybe you can have a look at your friends, because this is your first time looking at your friends. Am I right? Have a look at them. Okay. Okay. Back to our class. Well, it's up to you whether you want to use the Visual Studio Code or Jupyter. I forgot to mention another one, which is Jupyter. Can you give me like a few seconds? I need to address your friends. They are not able to join my class. Oh no, because he is having a fever. Never mind. Due to network problem. Never mind. Okay, it's up to you whether you want to use Jupyter or maybe you want to use Uranus or Pluto or whatsoever. You can use any IDEs available. It's up to you. I will only assess your code, okay? I won't bother if you use Visual Studio Code. I will not say, oh, this guy is not using the spider, then I'll deduct 10 marks. So it's up to you. I don't really bother about that. So again, I repeat, I've mentioned to you about the console. So this is for for those who never encountered console before. I don't know how many of you guys use Ubuntu. I don't know. So for Ubuntu, we have the bash. Instead of command prompt, we have the bash. It is a console where you can type in your command to your computer, and then your computer will execute things. Because in reality, you are using the graphical user interface, which is the operating system. You have to, if you want to copy the files, you just right click, and then here we have the context menu, and then you simply click on copy. You select copy, and then it will automatically copy, and then you right click and then paste. Those are the graphical user interface. Back in the 60 years ago, the computer users, maybe they want to copy the files, then they have to type in copy, paste, things like that. So this is the console. I don't know whether you guys seen this before. Yeah, I suppose most of you guys already seen this. For the boys, if you say to me that you never seen this before, then it's an awful lah. Okay. Okay, so if you are used to the computers, maybe you've seen this before. Okay, this is an example of the console. You can type in the commands. So maybe after this, if maybe you want to copy and paste your files in an unconventional way, you can use the console, and then you type in copy, and then put the names of your file, and then you put the destination location, things like that lah. So I will not bother about that, but this is the console. When you write your Python code, so basically the output of your code will be printed in this particular console. Okay, when you want to maybe you have written a lengthy code, maybe to trying to find the critical mass of the weapon grade plutonium in order to make it explode. Then you have to do the calculation. You have to trace the neutrons. And maybe you use Python to trace the neutrons, and then the output is a number telling you the mass. Okay, so that number will appear in the console. Okay. For example, this is just for, this particular class is for those who never done programming before. So for those who done this before, I hope you be patient, and then maybe you can try to refresh this. Maybe I need your help to help your friends as well. So basically, if you want to display a message in the console, what you do is you type in print. Okay, can you see the code there? Print, and then you put the parentheses. I don't know how to pronounce it, parentheses. And then within the parentheses, you put the string. String is a set of characters in programming, okay? A set of characters is known as a string. I hope you remember this. If I ask you what is a string, then you should be able to tell me that a string is a set of characters. Maybe you want to say something. Maybe you want to create a program for your, for the ATM machine, Maybank kawanku. Then you are assigned to create the software that address the customers. So maybe in the welcoming page, when the user insert the bank card, okay, the credit card or whatsoever, and then the window should print, hello, please wait for a while, we are processing your card, things like that. So it's basically like this. Maybe the guy who coded for the ATM, he might be using Java. because normally they use Java or C++ to create the interface. I mean, for the Maybank kawanku, when you go to the ATM and you insert your card, and then you see in the monitor, you see, please wait, then things like that. It's an application. So here, for example, I am printing the output without advancing the line. So this is something that I need to explain, yeah? So basically, okay, let me show you the code directly. One second, yeah, it's quite. Okay. Yep. Okay. So I'm going to show you the code. So this is your first time doing the programming. For Friday class, I'll focus on the theoretical. I mean the theory part, lah. Okay. On Friday, I'll teach you the theory, and then on Wednesday you'll do the hands-on. Okay, because we are doing online on Monday, am I right? Okay, so you'll be able to do the hands-on. Okay, for example, if you want to create a new Python file, you click File, New File, and then you specify the language. So, and then you need to write in Python. Okay. Here I'm using Visual Studio Code, yeah? Later, if you use Python, then you have to discover this. Okay. Okay. And then maybe you want to save your code first before you begin doing the coding. Maybe you put the hello, click save. And then if you want to print hello in the console, you click print, not click, you type in print. And then you just type in whatever message that you want to print. Hello, I am Rabi. Okay. So you press the play button. Okay. Make sure that the bottom, I don't know how to call this, the bottom panel, not really a panel, the bottom strip here. Maybe, make sure that it is displaying the conda, meaning to say it is using your anaconda. It is using, the editor is using the anaconda as the interpreter. Okay. You know, interpreter is like a compiler, but it's not really a compiler. Okay, I'll explain to you about compiler. Okay, a compiler, it will take a code and then it will compile. Compile means in Malay they kompilasikan, bubuh sekali. Okay, it will compile your code. The software. The program, the compiler will put all of your codes together, and then it will convert into the machine language. Okay, and then that machine language is encoded inside the executable, the .exe. Or for Ubuntu, I don't know, maybe I can't remember. I don't know. I never used Ubuntu before, but there is an extension. Or maybe there's no extension at all. But it is actually an executable, your .exe. That the file with the extension .exe is actually containing the machine code that will execute your instructions. Okay, so that's how compiler works. But for an interpreter like Python, or maybe your browser is also an interpreter, because it will read the HTML file. Have you seen the HTML files? Have you seen the HTML language? So basically your browser will read through the code and then it will interpret. So it will not compile your code and then convert into a machine code or something like that and then produce an exe. No, it won't do that. But your browser will interpret. It will read. Okay, line number 1, okay, do this, okay, display this. And then line number 2, okay, do this, and then display the YouTube video. And then line number 3, we need to display the like button, okay, display the like button, and then and then line number 3, we need to display the comment section, okay, we display the comment section. That is an interpreter. But for a compiler, it will read everything. Okay, sir, you asked me to do this. Okay, this. Okay, okay, machine, you don't understand. Okay, wait, I'll interpret. I'll convert into a machine code. Wait, yeah. Okay, I convert into the machine code, and then now you have to execute this. Okay, that's how compiler works. And normally the compiler, the compile code will run faster than the interpreter code. So of course, if I ask you C++, which is a compile code, versus the Python, of course, C++ will be faster than Python. And then of course, Python is, it is created such that it is understandable and easy to learn. So there's a lot of simplifications there. And then of course, if you have many simplifications, then behind the scene that enables that simplification, behind the simplification is a lengthy code. So it has to go through those lengthy codes. So meaning to say, I'm sorry to say that Python is not a fast language. It is a reality, and I face this problem as well. But the thing is, you are here to learn Python because it is well understood and well known. Let's say if you want to work in a company and then you want to, maybe Python is helpful for analyzing your data. When you have a set of numbers, maybe a big file, this big, okay, there's so many numbers, and then you want to plot those numbers, then Python is helpful. It is helpful to manage your data, okay? Well, what else? Yeah, so back to our lesson for today, which is to print an output. So once you have written the code here, you have to remember, okay? You have to remember print. Remember the keyword, print. So print is a function. Print is a code, not really a code. Print is an instruction that enables your computer to, literally to print the output. It's easy to understand. So if I say print, the meaning of print is to print. It's a literal meaning. So, and then what you do is you press the play button. And then if I bring this a bit upwards, you can see, hello, I'm Rabi. So this is your output lah. Okay. Since you are creating a console program, so this is your code. Okay. Sorry, this is your output. So basically, this is your program. So this is my very first simple program. So maybe when you go back to your hostel for this, and then you try to bring something, maybe you are excited. So this is my first time doing Python programming. Maybe for those who already understood Python, then maybe this is a boring class. I've learned this before, so what's the point of learning this? But the thing is, don't have that kind. I suggest you to not having that kind of attitude. You have to refresh your mind. It's okay, even though it's boring, then just repeat it again and again. So no, maybe it's the time for you to help your friends. As you can see, I have another example. If I print hello, and then I put n like that, and then I print another one, I print a line. So any of you guys know what will be output of this? So I don't know, maybe you already know, but maybe you are quite shy to tell it to me. Never mind, I'll just press the play button and you'll see that wait, yeah? Yeah, okay. Here it says, hello, I am Rabi. So because I'm using the first line of the code here. And then for the next one, it will begin in the next line, hello. But here at the end, I have another instruction here, where this is the end, N-E-N-D, as an empty character. Because if you don't specify the argument here, this is an argument, okay? If you don't specify the word n here, then the computer will automatically include the new line character. The new line, okay? New line. So the new line character is, it cannot be seen, but when it appears on the output, then your line will begin in the new line lah. Okay, I hope you understand the meaning of new line character. Are you guys okay with the new line character? Okay, yeah, just a simple one. So here I suppress, suppress, the meaning of suppress, tahan here. Don't go to the next line, stay there, okay? So that's the reason why I have my hello, and then I have my line, my dotted line here. So if I remove the argument here, then if I press the play button, then the dotted line will appear in the new line. It is something that is understandable. I know all of you guys understood this, but later when it comes to hands-on, you tend to, you tend to not remember this kind of things. Even though it is simple, but it is easy for you to forget about it. So just keep on practicing doing this. And so next we have next we have the code comments. Okay, when you do the coding, of course, when you are doing the code, when you are doing the programming at the same, at that particular time, you understood everything. But when you, but after that, maybe you want to turn off your computer and then you want to rest for a while. Maybe you want to continue doing your code tomorrow. And then when you get back to your code, then you forgot everything. And then what did I write? I can't remember what's the meaning of this. So that's the usual problem of a programmer. So it is the best practice is to include some comments so that you can remember what you did last summer, what you did last programming, in the last programming, okay? You have to remember this, okay? Always put the comments. For example, I have the pound character. Okay, this is the pound character, the hashtag. Okay, we have usually if you want to write a command, you put the hashtag character or the pound character at the first column here. The reason why I say at the first column, no, it's okay, never mind. It can be anywhere. So if you type in the pound character or the hashtag character, then any preceding characters, any characters after that sign, after that symbol is considered, any characters after that particular pound character are considered as comments. So your Python will not bother with those characters. The Python interpreter will assume that as a set of characters specifying the comments. So for example, here I have example 1, and then I have example 2, print without advancing the line. So the thing is, when you press the play button, the green characters will not appear in your code, but it will appear in the editor. It is for your future reference. Okay, clear, yeah? So you always begin with the pound character. So let me show you this as an example. Okay, for example, I wanted to say, okay, this is my first program. Okay, in reality, this is the actual code, yeah, if you do the computational physics. So the code here is trying to predict the behavior of neutrons inside a cylindrical medium. So not really a uranium, it is just inside the graphite. And then we have the americium beryllium source at the center of the graphite cuboid. It is not cylinder, sorry, it is a cuboid. I have a cuboid, graphite materials, and then I insert the neutron source at the center of the cuboid. So this is the code. So normally, if you try to see this, it is not understandable, am I right? Even me myself, if I get back to the code and I see what's the meaning of this guy, what's this variables mean, and then why am I doing this? So the best practice is to put some comments. Okay, maybe we look for the summation operator. And then when I go back to my home and then I sleep, and then when I wake up and then come back to my office, okay, what's the meaning of, what's the reason behind the code here? We look for the summation operator. So that's the idea, okay? So for your case, I'm using this dummy program. I'm calling this as a dummy program because the program is for nothing. It's just for merely to display my name. So just for your lesson. But this is the real code, yeah? So this is an example. The reason why I put the code here, because later, sorry, the reason why I put the comment here is because I want to remind my FYP students, okay, the max underscore integer is a number for blah, blah, blah. So, and then the epsilon is for blah, 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 things like that, just to remind them. And then I have also remind them, okay, prohibited region. Saya and Haziq, do not modify these lines because if they modify, then I'm afraid they will induce more errors. And then if I press the play button, I suppose you guys have seen this before. I've shown you in the online class. So I mean, it will take some time to run the code, to do the computation, because you are dealing with the computation of neutrons, am I right? You are not displaying things. Then it might take some time. So here is the output, okay? And then you can see, the neutrons will be more concentrated over here. And then as they travels away from the source, then they will become weaker and weaker such that they will disappear from the system because the nuclei already absorb them. I don't know whether you guys understood what I'm saying, but that's the idea. That's how you do the programming. The reason is to plot so that you can see the outputs. Oh, okay, I know that's the science behind it. Okay, back to the final part, which is the getting the input from the users. Okay, so again, I have mentioned to you guys that these are the strings. Okay, so normally, if you use the Microsoft Visual Studio Code, the strings are indicated by using the, I don't know, the maroon color or chocolate color, the brown color character. the brown colored characters. Okay. And then for the keywords means it is a set of words understandable by Python. Let's say if you say to Python, okay, gosh, Python will not understand those words. It will only understand a few basic keywords like if, else, then, do, for, and what else? I can't remember. So that's the example, okay? And then the strings, okay, the strings must be enclosed using the, I don't know what sign is this, it's the apostrophe sign. Can't remember at the moment. Maybe some of you guys can help me. It's ampersand. Ampersand is this one, am I right? The single quote. You can also use the, not the ampersand. Ampersand is the done, it's N. I can't remember. Okay, it's the double quote. You can either use the single quote or the double quotes sign. Okay. One second. Okay. Let's have a look at the chat, see whether your friends are okay. Exercise. There will be no exercise today. Your exercise will be on Monday, 8 a.m. When you wake up in the morning after your prayer, you go to eLearn, and then there will be questions. And then please change your mindset, yeah? And exercise is not something that I assess. I mean, I need to assess you based on your exercises. But the thing is, do not be afraid of answering those. Do not be too stressed, because most of the time I will give you the simple questions. Okay. Last semester, most of the students, they are able to obtain 100% marks for the exercises. Because the purpose of the exercise is to allow you doing the programming. If I don't do the exercise, then you will not do the programming. Not all of you, I mean, maybe some of you. So I have to do something to force you, okay? I need to do something to force you doing the programming. Okay. I think I'm trying to, my throat is becoming fatigued. So I need to bring my mic closer. Sorry, yeah? Okay. Can you guys hear me all the while? No. I don't know, my voice box is becoming a bit weird because of fatigue. So I'm using my mic now. But the thing is, I'm doing the programming. How am I going to program using this guy over here? So we need to have like a fan so that I can put like a DJ. Okay, next, moving on to the final part. Oh, it's weird using the mic. So here I got so many things to control. I need to control the Wayback, I need to control the PowerPoint slides, I need to control the IDE. So I should be a multitasking guy. Okay. So again, for a string, you can combine the string. Okay. For example, here I have 3 strings, and then if I want to join them, I mean the proper word is to concatenate. The concatenation, that's the programming word, concatenate, meaning to say you want to join a few parts of strings together. For example, here I'm using hello. This is my first string, and then I have my second string, which is this, and then I have my third string, which is is my Python program. And then I want to put them together. Then I use the plus sign. Okay. But the thing is, you cannot have a number and plus with the string. So Python will try to do the execution, but it will give the errors output. So meaning to say, if you want to use the plus sign, make sure you are using numbers plus a number plus a number, and string plus a string. So if you do the string plus a number, then it will be a different story. Python will try to give you a sensible answer, which I'm not sure what's the answer because I never do that. Okay? Or you can also use the comma sign. So you can have multiple strings, and then you put the string together, and then you put the comma sign. This is your second string, and you put a comma sign. So basically, the print command will combine those strings. Okay. So after this, when you go back, before you go to sleep, maybe you can try doing the program with Python. So that's all. Next, moving on to the, I explained this, So this is the output. Even though it looks fragmented, even though in your code here, you can see three different strings. You can see three different strings together. Then you join them, and then finally at the output, you can see, hello, this is my first program in Python. Hello, this is my Python program, appear concatenated or joined together. Remember, if you want to join the strings, you use the plus sign. Okay. But again, I repeat, you will not remember this by simply sitting in front of me and then watching. So you have to go back to your hostel, and then do your revision, try to write the code. Okay. Okay, now getting the user input. Of course, it is a two-way direction, am I right? When you have a program, you are not going to have a program that only delivers messages from the programmer. But instead, you can also get the messages from the user as your input. Maybe the user want to put the number 1 to your program. Now you have to do something. So for example here, I have the username as a variable. Okay, whenever you put you can put any names here. You can put any words. Maybe you can put user underscore Rabi'i, or maybe you want to put your name Nabila underscore la la la. So it's up to you, as long as you have to follow the rules, the naming rules. Okay, you cannot simply put names with various symbols. Later I'll share you the rules of naming your variables. So this is your variable. If you want to declare, you want to say, okay, I want to define x as a number which is equals to 5. Then you have to name your variable x. So x is a legal name, so Python will accept that name. But maybe you want to put the plus sign or minus sign, minus x, so that will not be an illegal name. Okay, later I'll share on the rules. So here you are asking the user for a string, and then you will store the string into the username. Okay, and then you print back the variable. So here you try to get the input from the user. So you have the function here. So it is actually a function, yeah. But later in the next class, in the next coming class, you will learn about Python function. Okay. You will learn about Python function. But for now, you just use the function as it is. You just follow. At the moment, it's like when you are learning something, you just follow, okay? You just follow, and then after some time, I will allow you to understand, or the reason why you're doing this is because of this, because of that. So, but normally in the first class, you have to follow. You just simply copy and paste the code here. So input what is your name, or maybe you want to change what's your car brand, what's the value of X, what's the age of the person, things like that. So this is this display message. What you want to display in your console, so that the user will give the input, okay? And then once the user has given the input, then maybe you want to reprint what it's like you are trying to repeat what the user said to you. Then you print hi, then you use the plus sign, because the username now is a string, because the input here will transfer the string provided by the user in the console, and then store inside the username here, okay? And then when you try to print it again, hi plus username plus nice to meet you, okay? So it's like that. So this is the assignment operator. So normally in mathematics, you know that this is the equal sign, right? So in programming, basically the idea is the same, but it is more extended. So in mathematics, we are only assigning numbers, but in programming, we assign to many things. You can assign a variable to a string, you can assign the variables to a number, or even an object. I'll explain about object in the next class, okay? For now, you might be a bit blurry, but as for now, you just think about the simple things first, okay? For example, maybe you are assigning a number, or maybe you are assigning a string, so things like that. So the variable user underscore name, it's up to you whether you want to put it as user underscore name, or you want to put any names. Or maybe you want to remove user, you want to use name only, then it's okay. So you can change the name of your variable. So you assign your variable to a string. So, the input function here will always give you the string. So if you want to extract a number from the user, you have to convert the string into a number, which I will explain to you later, okay? Okay, you can concatenate as well. This is the variable. And then you can concatenate to the other string. So things to remember, yeah? At the end of the class here, if you want to know whether you are successful students after this particular session, you have to understand the meaning of this. So maybe after this, if you see this on the websites, on any Python websites, whenever you see things like this print, then you know it's printing a message. And then whenever you see something like this, then you are getting the input from the user. Whenever you see the plus sign, and then you have the string on the left hand side of the operator, and then you have the string as well on the right hand side, and you are joining the strings. So that's the end of the lecture today. I'll give you the example here, for example, okay? This is an example. Maybe you are not satisfied with the slide. Maybe you want to see something. Yeah, okay. For example, okay, for example, yeah. Now, maybe I want to name this as a CGPA. What is your CGPA. And then later I'll print the CGPA. So if I press the play button, so now Python is asking me what is CGPA. So when I did my degree, my CGPA was 3.8. Press enter. When the user press the enter, button, then Python code will print the word, the sentence here. You CGPA, I forgot to put R. Your CGPA is 3.68. Okay. This is the basic of getting the input from the user. However, if you want to convert the CGPA into a number, okay, for example, before I print the value, I declare X as a number, which is 3.0. And then I declare another variable, Y, which is equals to X plus my CGPA. So you will expect to see 3 plus my CGPA. So if I put 3.68, then the output will be 6.68. And then I replace this with Y. And then let's see whether this will work. I don't know, because Python will always try to give a sensible output, no? Okay, it will print out the error because of the type. So when you ask the user for the CGPA, even though the user gives you 3.68, which is a number, it seems like a number, but actually the input function will always give you the string. So actually 3.68 is a string. So you have to do something to convert. So in the next lesson, on Monday, I'll teach you how to convert, yeah? So for example, I already know how to convert, so I put the float. So float is a type of number. I'll explain you in to this. So if I press the play button and then I put 3.68 and then press enter, you can only concatenate a string, not the float, because here this is a number, okay? So as I said before, you can only concatenate two strings together. You cannot concatenate a string with a number. So what you do, you have to reconvert. I know it is quite confusing, yeah? But later when you do the hands-on, then you will understand this. Now I'm converting Y into a string because initially Y is a number because X is a number. So that's why Python is detecting Y as a number because X is a number. So Python is also detecting your CGPA here as a number because initially the CGPA itself is a string, no? And then I have this function, it will convert the CGPA string into a number. So now it is a float instead of a string. So it is legal to have a float plus a float. I mean, a number plus a number. So after this, I will not mention you the number. After this, I will mention float. Okay, I'll use the word float instead of numbers. Okay, so this is your second class. So maybe, okay, I'll use the word number, but after this, I'll use the word float or integer. So integer is an integer, no? Okay. Float is like a number with the decimal places. That's all. That's why Python is a simple programming language. For numbers, you can only have float. There are other types, but normally we use the float and integer. So, of course, integer is a number, -1, 0, 2, 3, and so on. So float is, floats containing the decimal places. What else? So now your value of your y variable is a string. Is a float. Then when you want to print in the output, then you have to reconvert the float value into a string. Okay. So that's the reason why I am using the str function here. It's string. It's a simplification of string, str. Convert back to the strings. So if I do this, and then if I press the play button, 3.6, press the enter, then there will be no error because of printing, you are concatenating string with a string, 6.68.